Hello, welcome to yet another Sass Show.
Oh God.
Oh gosh, I can't hear you. Hold on. Let me get my headphones in.
I guess. Well, I might have prepared myself a little bit better, but uh, I have a. I have
Getting
a.
to come and talk about.
I have. I
Can
have
you
a.
hear me?
I have a friend on my lap here. Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh goodness. Oh, okay, good.
So I'm just like I was.
We're gonna. I'm gonna go ahead and just start the show. I see my girlfriend's here, so we're gonna spend a few minutes talking, and then Gideon is in. Hey, is in the request, so we're gonna have him come up and talk to us today. So our topic today is this bird is going to become a chicken nugget. Can you please stop? Um, you want to go to bed?
I can send you
Um,
some barbecue sauce.
our topic today is, of course, the good side to gender affirming care. Last week we were talking. Come here, Boba. Come on. Last week we were talking about you know, the dangers of being transgender in the United States. I thought this would be a great live to have afterwards. It's a very obviously tough topic to talk about. What does go on, and so yeah, I thought we could talk about some of the joys that come along with transitioning. I'm gonna.
Oh God, I just hurt myself.
So, Robin, this was actually your idea.
Yeah, look at this. What second time like ever? I guess I'm co-hosting now. Come back next week when I've done a hostile takeover and this is my show.
A whole house Brillo? Listen, Bubba, you gotta stop right now. A whole hostile takeover, huh?
Yeah, go for the eyes, Rillo. Uh,
Bubba, can you please calm down?
Burb.
Anyway, thank you for that brief interruption there, Brillo, but we are going to talk about the joys of transitioning. So now that I've done the introduction, I'm going to go ahead and have Gideon come up. We're just going to make sure we can I'm going to limit it to three people at a time. And oh, I'm so sorry, Christina. The bird is in the kitchen now. He is being a little crazy, so I don't know that he might end up going upstairs with the other birds because I cannot. So I thought I would start off by um, I want to start first of all by saying transitioning, being transgender, the journey to figure out who you are looks different for everyone I've ever talked to. I know for me personally, it was not something I really had the language to understand until maybe 5 to 7 years ago. And so I always have been struggled with my own gender identity, um, trying to figure out what it means to be, a woman and present that way. And ultimately, it's unnecessary. I always used to say I wasn't very good at being a girl. And the amount of relief I felt at accepting that I am non binary was immense because I no longer had to pretend to be something I don't even understand personally, me personally, Justin. So that for me, that's a lot of what it was for me was just like relief and the realization that I am in fact non-binary and I don't have to fit into a specific gender binary. So I would say, Gideon, since you kind of came into the end of the show last week, what does it mean for you?
Which being
The more you fuck around,
which being quote unquote woman, trans, which
What does it mean for you? Like, so what are the benefits of gender affirmation?
um it means a lot less I don't know. Questioning, a lot less wondering. Uh
Oh, I cannot hear.
uh it, In that, I'm not entirely sure. You may have to clarify a bit more. I'm one of those you have to give specific details to certain things.
I could not hear anything you just said for the last minute because my headphones are not working. So I was just thinking, I think, Robin, do you wanna see if you have any like what specific details you think we could ask about?
Yeah, this whole thing was my idea because we got to the end of last week's show and I just kind of like ended it with a little thing about we always talk about like the rough parts of being trans. We never talk about like the parts where like, yeah, this is awesome. Like I'm actually myself. I feel whole and complete. That doesn't get talked about nearly enough, in my opinion. So I wanted to just sort of like get a time to talk about that because I think people need to hear about that.
Agreed. So, Alita, do you wanna add anything? Maybe we can help Gideon find kind of what he's looking for.
Okay, well, I mean, just in general, when you had asked me earlier about the good stuff about being trans, well, the first thing I thought of was boobs, but that's kind of unique to people in my situation. Um, I didn't have boobs, and then I did, and that was great. Um, no, it's like I really enjoy that. I sort of I went through this period of like figuring out like what is the matter with like why is my brain broken, and figuring out sort of like oh that makes sense, and sort of coming to this realization about my identity and sort of living up to what um, living up to that. So it's kind of, to me, it's just kind of like you've been lying about something your whole life, and that feeling of finally being honest and coming out and being like, I decided to tell the truth from now on. So uh, if that makes sense, it's kind of this relief feeling, for all the negative shit that we all deal with. I mean,
Yeah, I can totally relate to that because I was saying the same thing, right? Like, the relief of realizing that it's not that you're broken. You're not broken. You're just transgender.
right, and the whole issue was no wonder everything felt so messed up before. It's because I was trying to be what I wasn't.
Right.
The when the critics say, oh, you're pretending you're not a real, like, no, I wasn't a real man. It just took me a long time to figure that out. To figure that out and find my real self.
Yeah, and I felt a lot the same way about 5 years ago when I was getting close to figuring it out and I was interviewing for jobs and I remember feeling really weird going to job interviews because I'm like, yeah, this suit and a tie just doesn't feel right. Like, um, whereas now, like when I go to work and I'm not like wearing crappy like stupid like button down shirts, and I just generally feel like I'm more authentic and not like masking myself at work. I literally had a moment yesterday where I'm like, well, this day at work sucks, but at least I'm pretty.
I can relate to that. Okay.
I
At least
love
it
the
looks.
copy down button shirts.
Oh,
I
well, there you
know. I
go.
bet.
Yeah. So, from your perspective, Gideon, what is the good side to affirming your gender for you?
I haven't entirely thought about it. I mean, I guess bad side. The best way I can describe is the bad side not being able to express who I am very well.
Hmm.
But when I was able to start my transition, I was able to be more me.
Right. I think there's probably inherent benefits to that, right? Like automatically, if you are, being forced to mask and live as someone who you're not, that does take quite a bit of toll on one's mental health. It's very difficult.
Yes. I already had major depression issues before I transitioned. A lot of it wasn't making any sense. They kept saying, "Oh, you'll get a bit better in time." Well, several years later, a few years before I came out, things weren't, going the way they wanted. So when I finally admitted that I was supposed to have been born a boy, things started to get, I guess you would say, a little better, more
Yeah.
manageable. Then and because the mental health clinic used to go to, they would get new people in, and then the old ones would be switched out to go back to school for more uh, education and whatnot. My last therapist, she went back through all the notes, looked at everything. She looked like since she started conditioning, a lot of your depressive issues have started getting better. She's like,
Hmm.
I would not have thought of this because where I live, um, gender transgender therapists for transgender people isn't all that common.
Okay. So you don't have you don't exactly have the best access to care.
Exactly.
Okay.
Hey, Mr. Bass,
I didn't do
have
it.
you seen Andy in a while? He's looking for you.
Who? Why are we? I'm not quite sure what we're doing that's racist. That's an interesting. Okay, Justin. Yeah, and
I'm sorry,
so
I had to say something.
no, you're good. You're good. What are Oh, I forgot my question.
Oh no, do I need to cover for you?
Yeah, because I totally forgot my question.
Okay. Sure. So one of the things I've probably already dropped a couple of times in here is like a sense of completeness or a sense of relief after transitioning. And to just kind of elaborate on what I mean when I say that. Prior to transitioning, a lot of my mental energy went towards being confused slash trying to figure out gender things that I kind of intuitively knew didn't feel right, but like didn't quite have the verbiage or the
Mm.
knowledge to understand for what they were. And I transitioned like in my early 30s, so like most of my life was like that. And just over like a couple decades, I had really dissociated, like physically and emotionally, and things that I used to enjoy were bringing me less joy. Like I wasn't really living as fully as I could because I had just disassociated so hard to keep myself, from the pain of dysphoria. And once I started transitioning and like bringing myself back to where my brain knew I needed to be, I started to have a larger range of emotion again. I started to feel emotions more intensely. I know a lot of when you go on to like, if you know, I guess not everyone will know, but like if you're on trans forums, you'll hear a lot of people talking about, or in trans spaces, people talking about, after I started transitioning, food tasted better, everything looked brighter, that sort of thing. And that's really where that comes from, I think. At least for me, it definitely does.
All right. Thank you for that. I appreciate you sharing that. So, trans benefit of transitioning and gender affirming care is definitely, I mean, that's the effects of it could be the effects of depression, right? Like the world seems brighter, food tastes better, you're allowing yourself to live as who you are, and ultimately you're not having to mask, and that does help with things like depression and being able to one of the things you used to tell me is like you felt like you were fully experiencing the world something you told me early on, as opposed to before that. Do you remember telling me that?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Yeah, I think I told you that at like 3 different points in my transition.
I mean, that's true. That's true.
Because it just kept getting more intense.
Hmm. So, I guess, and Gideon said that he hasn't really thought about it much, other than it does, um, feel better. One thing that I think is important to note, since we're having this conversation, the positives of gender affirmation, is that transitioning looks different for everybody, or being transgender, the path that people take is not the same. So if somebody, let's say myself, for instance, I am non-binary at this point in my life, I am using they them pronouns. I have a very gender neutral name already. Morgan is perfect for that, and I don't foresee myself in the future needing to medically transition. I don't, at this time, I don't see myself wanting to do surgeries or needing to go on any sort of hormone therapy, right? But that doesn't make it any less transgender. So for me, it's really about social transitioning. And that might be different for Gideon, right? And for Lita or Robin.
Gender neutral name, besties.
Oh yeah, with an with an A, not an E. Yes, Justin, it is with an A, not an E. It's not Morgan, it's Morgan. So yeah, spelling is fundamental. And just because I know that there are people who are trans medicalists and people who think that non-binary people are not part of the trans community, but transgender simply means that you do not identify as the gender you were assigned at birth. So that's going to be different for everybody.
Oh yeah.
And then, of course, because I can't help but be educational, right? Statistically speaking, specifically in transgender youth, the stat is that access to hormones and puberty blockers between the ages of 13 to 20 are associated with a 60% lower odds of moderate to severe depression and 73% lower odds of self-harm compared to youth who do not receive it. So, when they have in states where gender affirming care to minors is where they're trying to outlaw it, you can see how this is ultimately going to lead to harm to transgender children because they do exist. So the positives of that are just less self-unaliving, which seems important. Seems like that might be a good thing.
Yeah, after 2 hours a week of electrolysis, you'll really be like, yeah, puberty blockers might have been great if I did that.
Oh.
I'm not just whinging about my electrolysis earlier today. That's not happening right now.
There is,
That's stuff.
and that's a feeling I'm constantly having, where I wish I could have transitioned early. I wish I wish that this had become, that being trans sort of became a more, I don't want to say common thing, but the knowledge of being trans and everything that entails. I wish I could have known that in my teens, in time to take puberty blockers, and because one of the things I still struggle with is my voice or my hair, and it's just if only I could have intervened and stopped certain changes from happening, I would be in a different place emotionally, and I try to work through it, but it's a struggle for sure. I know this is supposed to be a positivity thing, but it's
well, whatever the conversation goes. So I totally respect the idea, and I think it's important to talk about in general that having access to gender affirming care for transgender youth is actually really important for these reasons, as well as the ones that we just talked about when it comes to depression and self harm. And so ultimately, for the one thing that's talked about a lot is people detransitioning, but that percentage is so low. It The last time I checked, I think it was less than 4% of people who transitioned in their youth have detransitioned. And so there's always the idea that it's not, people always say, what about they're too young to make that decision? No. Many transgender people knew that they were transgender, that there was something going on at a young age, just like Robin has said.
It's a lot like a weird comparison, but it's a lot like stocks. The best time to transition was 10 years ago. The next best time is now.
Yep. It was, and it's hard to think about the positivity without sort of thinking of the negativity. It's one of those everything's in balance kind of things where, like, if existing in a vacuum, I would be completely unaware of anything, obviously, but like, I can't know the things that I want or the goals. I can't set a goal without having something to reference, and I think one of the ways I move past my challenges is by just trying to. If I look at a lot of other trans women, and I will say, "Wow, I'm so jealous of what they do. I can't do it," and then I'll go, "But I have bigger boobs than or I have a science degree and they don't, so I've one upped them on that front." So I always try to look for a balance, so that way my mind doesn't get carried away with like that feeling of, wow, they're much better at being trans than I am because they did this. I try to avoid those thoughts.
That's a good idea because those comparisons are not great for one's mental health, but they happen. They happen all the time. I know that.
No, that's not even specifically a trans thing either.
No,
Everybody
it's
really
not.
struggles
Yeah.
with comparing themselves to other people. Everyone is always like, "Oh, I wish I could be what that person is."
That's exactly what I was going to say, is that ultimately the people do these comparisons all the time in every way, shape, and form. And that's something that it takes a lot of practice not to do. And I know that from the aspect of a person assigned female at birth and having had conversations with many women, I have found that women who are basically transphobic is that they're comparing their own womanhood to trans women and feeling as though they've fallen short. Like I've had this conversation with several women, right? So even that comparison exists, and ultimately it doesn't do good for one's mental health because an expression of gender is not the same for everybody, obviously.
As much as I, occasionally do feel envious of, other people who have maybe had different experiences, at the end of the day when I, go into the bathroom for my nightly routine and see myself in the mirror. That is not an experience I had 5 years ago.
Well,
I recall hating seeing myself in the mirror, and I recall hating my name specifically, which, tangent, my name was my dad's name. Parents out there, don't name your kids after you. You're setting them up for horrible psychological issues. Just don't go there.
Gideon, is that an experience that you've had? What Robin was just sharing with us?
Yeah, I mean, before I really couldn't look at myself in the mirror, but since, I started getting this,
Mm-hmm.
the facial hair is hell yeah, looking pretty good there.
Yeah.
It's one of those, I never did feel comfortable in women's clothes.
Right.
As much as my aunt would try to force me into women roles, they just didn't fit. I had one because I did BBT. The therapist for that group tried to tell me, "Oh, I'm just gender queer, and after having my son, I'd feel more like a woman."
Oh, that's not. I don't think that's how that works.
No, it's not. And it was like, that I told her that's not how that works. I told her you're trans or you're not.
Right. Right.
And even going maternity clothes shopping, the worst thing for me. Yeah, I could. After that, I was like, nope, we're going back to the plus size men's jeans, oversized T-shirts.
I was thinking it probably was going back to the men's section for larger clothes was probably going to be the best way.
Actually, one of the so when I first started transitioning, the first I couldn't gather enough courage to go shopping for myself out in public, but I had found a subscription service to get clothes sent to me and had a designer, and then you keep what you want and send the rest back, and then they charge you. But at my community college, there was a girl that she had a set of boots that I needed. I saw these and I was like, I need those, and I will do whatever I need to get them. So I asked her, I was like, where can I get a pair of those? And she said, Torrid. So I had never heard of it at the time, but so I went there, and actually, Morgan, I know you know my friend Libby. She's come into my life before.
Okay.
I don't know if she's no, she's not watching right now, but no, you've met her. I think you're probably mutuals with her too. Anyway, so that's where I met her, and the thing with Torrid, and I feel like probably a lot of trans women experience this. And I can't for the life of me find shoes that fit me. But Torrid has my shoe size in everything they sell, or almost everything they sell. And that's you never realize how much you never realize what you don't have until you go to a shoe store and see the sexiest heels, and also they don't sell your size, and you're just like, what the hell? I want those. I want cute friggin' sexy thigh-high heels. They don't make them for me, but no, it's those.
Wait till you wait till you hear this lead. I'm beyond what Torrid even sells.
No, they go up to 14.
I'm a 15.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what? Oh, well,
don't worry.
The shoe industry hates us. So.
Oh, don't worry. I'm a complete goddess at finding cute shoes in size 15. So
Robin, our bonus girlfriend, Kelsey, has a question.
We have a bonus girlfriend? That's awesome.
Yeah, you didn't know? She asked, I named my son after his grandfather. Was that bad? Because you had said about naming after parental units. You think it depends on the relationship you have with the person.
Yeah, if the kid has a good relationship with the grandparent, it's probably fine. I just,
I think Robin's comment was more of a personal experience than one that a hard and fast rule. Because some people are okay being named after their relatives.
Oh, that's the other amazing thing about being is we all names.
Mm-hmm.
Like you never meet a trans girl named Jennifer,
Yeah, but you might.
or Seth, or
You don't think so?
yeah, but no, we pick names like Lita or Zelda or Luna. There's no act. Well, I mean, there are. I mean, there's always exceptions to the rules, but like
I don't know.
that's who. How many people get to choose their middle? Everybody hates their middle names, right? Not us.
I don't hate mine. That's not true. It was spelled wrong.
But
But
I
that
actually
is
know what it is now.
oh my gosh. I mean, that is a benefit, right? To one of the things that for transgender people that they might really enjoy is being able to pick the name that fits them best, especially when you may not like the name you have, like Robin was expressing, right? You get to choose that. So that's a good side of gender affirmation. Hey,
I
Gwen.
feel like I'm the weirdo who actually has the relatively plain name, unlike what Lita was.
do you spell your
Uh,
name with a Y?
well,
Huh?
no.
Do you
I
spell your
don't
name with
spell
a
it with a Y. Well, I do. Well, don't reveal the secrets, Lita.
Because that's the other thing
Anyway,
too. If you do pick a more common name, generally you find an uncommon way of spelling it.
And
yeah,
by
but
the
like
way, Gideon.
nobody uses my legal name anyway, so like it's kind of mostly a moot point.
Also, by the way, Gideon is a fantastic name. I love
Mm-hmm.
that name.
I chose a very odd spelling, and people keep trying to put an I in my name, and there isn't an I anywhere except in my last name.
Don't be getting into
Okay.
No I. It's GED.
And this
Okay.
is a great. This is a bad example too, because one thing I didn't say that I normally would is that trans men always seem to pick generic names. You always get Mikes and
Oh,
Daves and Johns. But of course, present company. I got Gideon here, so exception to the
do
rule
you,
there.
is that is that what do you guys think about that? About do you think that that trans men are picking um common names, present company included Gideon, or do you think it's the other way?
No, there's a few who I've noticed have either basic names or basic Edwardian names.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never met a trans guy with the name Edward before.
Oh, okay.
It's either a Max or a James or something else. There's been at least one Zach I've met. There's been, and I've never met one named Tom or Tim.
Oh, interesting. Robin, what do you think? So we have some trans mask friends. Are they? I don't think we common named ones. I don't know.
I mean, I'm just thinking of that meme where it's like trans women carefully choosing their name, trans men cycling through the three names in order, non-binaries picking up or naming themselves after the first object they see. So like,
Hmm.
Hi, Sebastian.
Carpet.
Sebastian is a good name, by the way. I'm a fan of that one.
sit on a chair right above you.
Like I said, there have been few trans men a truly big name.
Actually, I went
Sebastian is one of those names.
Yeah. Yeah,
It is
I went to college with that.
Edwardian.
There was a somebody that lived not in my wasn't my roommate, but they lived in the same dorm as me. A trans guy named Sebastian.
I was dating someone who used the name Sebastian as their scene name for a while, and then I unrelatedly had a pet rat named Sebastian.
weirdly enough, I also
It was
know one.
unrelated. Yeah, you do. That's true.
But that one is non-binary.
Cassius is a great name. And Bastion is such a great short for Sebastian or Seb.
Yeah,
I like Seb too as short for Sebastian.
Now,
I'm actually thinking of like the trans men that I know, and the more I think about it, the more I feel like all of them are named like they could be in a '90s boy band. Um, I just kind of want to see all of them form a boy band now, like bring that trend back, but like
now
transier.
for middle names, I don't know too many of trans men's middle names, but mine is definitely one you just wouldn't find anywhere, and it's Hades. Yes, as in the Greek god of the underworld.
Oh, I love that though.
Could you stop being cool? Like you're making me look bad.
I mean, Robin, at this
Well,
point,
that's
I'm
not my
surprised you
fault.
didn't choose Ariel, right?
Oh yeah, that's another yep.
Considered
That's
it.
another trans femme name, chosen name.
Okay, look. Here's the thing. Like, I was gonna pick a name that was gonna be used on like legal documents and like work, and that's about it. Because like, who the fuck actually uses my real name? Like nobody. This
Well,
is like
that's
the
true.
this is like the most my real name has been used in like ever. Like on this live right here, because I just have another name that everybody knows me by and uses and hasn't changed in like 10 years. So like that's just what I'm called and generally known as. And I considered actually making that my legal name, but then I'd be reverse doxing myself basically. And I'm like, yeah, that doesn't seem wise from a safety perspective.
No, no, probably not.
So
Which is,
that's why my slow name isn't very standouty.
but also, I mean, it's fitting, even though it has nothing to do with it. I do own three birds and a robin, so
The bird puns are just they're there.
they
Oh
do
man, I
exist.
love
They
it.
really
Yes,
do.
I know a few Robins on here. Robins,
Yes.
Abby's, Luna's, all trans femmes.
Wait, oh yeah, there's also the Robin we don't talk about.
Burt Ward.
Oh
Actually,
God, Gideon, I didn't mean to break you.
no. There's been
Sandy in the chat.
development though that you should know, Lita.
Oh, you could begin me
Those
later.
other two have been causing more problems for the trans community.
Oh, oh.
Fantastic. Wait, other ones. I know one, but
Heather and Charlotte.
oh, those two. Okay, yeah.
And I don't think a lot of the stuff that was going on with that Robin was because apparently Heather is actually very transphobic. And that's the other thing we have to deal with is hatred within our own community.
Oh God, yeah.
There are issues within the transgender community that are best obviously addressed by transgender people, right? Like that exists within all communities. Obviously, we are all part of that community, so
Daniel
it's fine.
asks, hi.
It turns out trans people aren't a monolith. We're actually
No,
people
no.
with individual personalities and brains and stuff.
The
Did you know?
unthinkable happened
Imagine
today.
that, yes. The unthinkable
Yes.
with your brain. That was a joke. Sorry.
No. I happened across Nikki Starkiller's live today,
Yeah,
and
it's a rough one, right?
I agreed with her on what was going on at the time.
Oh no.
Well,
Can we get rid of Edith?
Oh yeah, Kelsey already got them, so we're good.
oh, yeah, I
My
agreed
mods are
with
fast.
her, dude. It was unreal. I was like, how the hell did this happen? I mean, it was a rare moment, but the person she had up in her live was a flirfer, so
Oh, well, that makes sense.
yeah. So it's not saying much, but no, yeah, you got people like her and Kelly Cadigan and a few others that really put they really leave a a gross mark on the trans community by being
Oh.
them.
Well, there is going to be, even though just for the new people that are coming in, we are actually talking about the good side of gender. With that though, I like conversations to flow naturally. One of the things that is going to occur is that people, even people in the transgender community, could potentially have transphobia that they have learned throughout their lives and struggle with because, it's not. Some people just aren't able to find the acceptance in their communities or with their family, and so it creates this inherent transphobia. It's unfortunate, and so I think that's one of the things that I see in some people who are saying things like non-binary people are not transgender or trans medicalists, or even some of the stuff that Kelly Cardigan started saying in the recent times. I think that's
And
just
it's
some
not
ingrained
just
transphobia.
Kelly.
No.
There's older trans folk who do the same, like Buck Angel.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he got all the luck in the world if you stop to think about it. He's able to pass a lot easier because he was transitioning longer. Yeah, but you shouldn't dismiss somebody who hasn't been, transitioning as long or who have just started out.
Well, it's gatekeeping the community, which is a strange thing to do,
There's
in my
a
opinion.
certain mentality that some people fall into of this. I had a hard time with this, and I resent people who don't have to have a hard time with it, which is really kind of backwards,
Yeah, it is. It
in my
definitely is.
opinion. Like everything that I have a hard time with, I want the next person after me to have an easier time with it.
Right.
Anyone who doesn't have to go through electrolysis, I don't want them to have to go through electrolysis.
Or even on a more base level, right? We want for people to have access to gender affirming care. We want people to be able to find acceptance in the transgender community. I don't think making it harder is the right way to go. In unrelatedly, in other good transgender gender news, I made a video about this yesterday. There is a FIFA World Cup player who is the first transgender person in to play in the World Cup, and they are non-binary. They played for Canada. Their game was tied, so they didn't win, but it was tied, and they're non-binary. I thought that was amazing. They are. Hold on 1 second. They are playing for the women's team, the non-binary person. Their name is Quinn, and they're the first out transgender player, I should say. Which I think is awesome to see that representation in a sport, because the transgender sports controversy, and so representation within the transgender community in sports is always a good thing.
Representation of the trans community in everything is always a good thing.
Well, yes, of course.
Especially when it's not made to be a big deal. That's what I want more of for us. I want just the ability to just be there and have that treated as just a normal thing.
I had that's actually one of the things I love about my job, and this really hasn't happened yet, but it's inevitable. So I've had employees contact me. They needed to update their information, and all they have, they don't see me. They just hear me on the phone, but they're clearly trying to change their name, but they hear my voice, so they don't know I'm trans, so they're reluctant to say that they are trans. They're like, oh yeah, I know, I've updated my name. I'm just trying to get that process completed, and I'm like, once I figure it out, I'm like, just so you know, I think I'm familiar with your situation, and I'm here with you, so we're good.
Yeah.
But more than anything, this will happen one day. I just know it, especially now that I just got a lot more, like, I'm starting to cover a lot more area in my job now. Is like sooner or later, somebody's going to harass one of our trans employees, and they're gonna have to deal with me. And how
Oh,
does that?
well, that's kind of fun.
Yeah. So, and
I,
like I've been like thinking about how I would do that for like 2 years now. I've been like, okay, if this is gonna happen one day, I'm gonna let this be like the culmination of like everything I planned for. So I'm gonna let them think that they're gonna
I've been training my
have an
whole life
easy
for this
time,
moment.
and then I'll go to whatever facility I have to go to. Help it, yeah. No, I can't waterboard them, but no, I really want to
If
see the
only.
terror in their face when I say I need to talk to you, and they look at me and then they're like, "Uh-oh." And I'll
That
be like,
is,
"Yeah, you know what this is
yes.
about. Let's go."
That brings up a good story. I thought I could talk to, like, Robin and I experienced this together, right? When we talk about the good side of gender affirmation and gender affirming care. In a broader sense, one of the things that is happening because it is becoming people, through social media and acceptance is getting wider, is we both experience something together. I hope Robin wants to talk about this. I've talked about it before. We were at an event back in May, and my bestie is here. I'm very excited. Jen, I'm so glad you're here. We were at an event together, and there was someone in our group who happened to be in our group that was not. They were transphobic, and what we got to watch was a group of people, everyone it seemed like, come together in support of the transgender community without having to be asked, without having to be told what to do or what was needed, and stood up and showed us that they supported us through just like the simplest things, like people were showing up wearing transgender pride shirts to breakfast at the one day. um, I feel like that's
Now, my favorite is still always going to be the power play of just, oh, I'm reading the room, grab whiteboard marker and write trans fucking rights onto my like plain white t-shirt. Like,
yeah, yes, one of the people that at this event, I mean, there was like, what, 300 people at this event. um, One of the people came and saw that everybody was showing up in trans pride stuff, saw that there, became aware that there was a situation, and went and got a Sharpie and wrote on their white shirt trans fucking rights, and it was amazing.
I say any time like you have a situation and you walk out of that situation and you're like, wow, my like respect for cisgender men as a demographic has gone up just slightly after this interaction. Like something amazing just happened because like that's not normally how that goes. But
Right.
it really was, and I mean, we're like in the context of what, like a dozen plus trans people like coming down and just being exhausted from what had happened, and everyone's like emotionally drained, and coming down and just seeing everybody like giving that like, yeah, we heard about what happened, like we got you, was it was a mood changer. Like the
Yeah.
mood of everyone just noticeably shifted.
Well,
And
and
I've had,
it's
I have a friend who's, been out as trans for decades and was like, I've never run into an issue with transphobia and seen a response this overwhelmingly like in support of us, like ever.
right. And I just continue to be amazed by the idea that, like, nobody had to ask for help in that way, right? Like, we didn't have to go to anyone and tell them that we needed support like that. Obviously, the person that was being transphobic, the people that were directly like, it wasn't the initial problem, wasn't, I wasn't involved in that. I um, learned about it afterwards, but they obviously talked to the people that they needed to talk to in regards to, like, leadership of this event. But we didn't have to ask anyone for help. We didn't have to tell them what was needed. Nobody even said, "Oh, well, are you sure they're being transphobic? Like it just was really an amazing experience and very affirming for myself as a member of that community, of this community, because I had been experiencing a great deal of transphobia on this app. And so that for me was it was a very emotional experience, if you will, to just have that support.
I would
One that
specifically like to point out how absolutely did not happen was you bullying a perfectly fine person out of an event. No, this
No.
person was grossly transphobic, and like every single trans person at the event spoke up about them.
Well, yes. Yeah, it was definitely they were definitely being transphobic. Anyone who would, I mean, unless you were there, then probably they shouldn't have any sort of opinion about that. But yeah, I just thought that like that was such a good thing to have happen. Not the transphobia, obviously, but the support of a community of,
Yeah,
so
I
many
have said a
people.
lot about this event that like I am not happy that the transphobia happened. I'm happy that I got to see the response though.
Yes. See, yep.
Especially with everything going on now, I feel like I really needed that.
Yes. Yeah, it was amazing. And I don't know, it's just like, it's not exactly commonplace, even in communities like, TikTok communities with leftists and people who say they stand up for the trans community. I mean, I personally have tried to get support for other members of our community, and you just have to shout from the rooftops for anyone to hear you. And so for a community to come together without any of that was really, really good.
Well, that's like the feeling I get when I'm doing one of my lives, and then you or Gideon or one of a few others just shows up, and I'm like, oh, good, I have an ally now.
Yes.
Even though those people aren't generally getting to me, it's still nice to still have one or both or all of you guys just come in and just you're like, it's Stone Cold with a steel chair.
Well, and it's good to know that, it's the feeling of not being alone, being supported. I think one of the great things that's happening with social media, while yes, we do see a lot of transphobia, we are current also do find support. We find one another, and we do find people that legitimately do support the transgender community. Gideon is nodding.
yes.
I think that's the biggest benefit of like social media is um, what once was like so like I'm in New England, you're in Pennsylvania, but like under normal circumstances we wouldn't know each other, but like when you get this big collective of strangers on the internet that find these common interests, you start realizing just how big your community is, just how big your support network is, and that's one of the biggest contributing factors to um, the collective awareness of trans issues and fight for trans rights and
Yeah,
all civil
yeah.
rights, really.
I think a lot of the reason why we are seeing a lot more trans visibility is like people who have been like physically isolated now because of the internet are able to like access this information and the community that wasn't available to them in the past. Like I've talked to one of my elder trans friends about what it was like transitioning in the 90s, and very different to say the least. Prior to 2010 and WPATH 7, like the actual process of getting any sort of trans-related medical care was, a nightmare and full of gatekeeping. Figuring out just finding people, like, if you didn't have like a lot of access to information, like kind of were just stuck where you were. So, and I also try to be that person who spreads awareness and I've done, how I figured things out, especially to people who aren't necessarily in the trans community. I find a lot of times that information gets insular, and I find that a lot of people, when you start talking about it, will start engaging you on it. I found a lot of. I like to joke that I'm the collector of secret gender dysphoria. Like, I have now had quite a few people being like, "Hey, so I've never talked to anyone about this, but I have these gender feelings actually,"
Oh.
because I kind of just go around talking about that like really openly.
Well, I think that's awesome because I know that I've talked to you about this, Robin. One of the things that I've always said about myself is that I have certain amount of privilege. First of all, in regards to being transgender, while it might be frustrating, it is a privilege that people often assume that I am cisgendered because for safety alone, right? For just general safety. And so that means that will I use my voice for that reason. That's why I won't allow people to bully me into silence or anything like that because it's important that if you can talk about it, that you do talk about it, right? So that people, when you hide stuff in the dark, people make assumptions and they talk about, they make up lies and things that aren't true about transgender people. So if you have the ability, if it's safe for you to be loud and proud about it, I encourage people to do so.
Yeah, and I'm very fortunate in that I have a ton of access to spaces online and, more importantly, in real life that are actually very safe to be open about this. Maybe not like perfect, a lot of times information that should have gotten out hasn't, and you can deal with some things that are maybe not ideal, but like when you have like, take feedback and you can actually be open about it, it does tend to like have a positive shift in the space. Especially I've noticed like once you get like a couple of like trans people in a space who start showing up regularly and feel comfortable, usually you get a whole bunch more.
Yeah, that's a good point, right? I think one of the good side, like we're talking about right now, good side to this, to gender affirming care, just transgender in general, comes from the social media and the fact that we can access community, we can find people to share spaces with and ultimately support, and the flow of information is something that does need to be freer.
In for those who don't know, I co-run a women's group out here where I'm at, and ever since I stepped on, I have noticed we have a lot more transgender attendees.
Oh,
Or
good.
general, I've been very happy to see that.
I mean, that's fantastic. I'm glad to hear that that is growing that way. I hope that I'm going to be coming out there soon. I'll be able to attend some of the uh, uh, events, even as a non-binary person. I'm pretty sure I'm allowed to go.
Yeah.
Assigned female at birth probably counts. Do you?
We're
Now
pretty radically inclusive. I'm just saying.
I know. So Gideon, as a different perspective here, because non-binary, we have trans femme, trans mask. Do you find that you have experienced a similar thing among trans men, where the flow of information isn't as free as maybe it should be?
Um, that depends on who you hang out with, who you ask. That
Okay.
can be yes or no.
Okay.
We generally tend to share a lot of things within the trans mass community. I mean, a lot. Everything from Packers to
Get moved over.
uh,
Move over.
to boxers.
Okay. So you guys are having some better communications than trans women. It sounds like might be possible.
I think so, because if you were to ask one trans guy what they find, what would be the better way to pack, for those who don't know what a packer is, it,
The peas head,
it's
right?
yes, it's usually made to look like a peen.
Hmm.
So when we talk about packers, we'll either talk about the softies, or we'll talk about the silicone.
Okay.
Or if we prefer the STPs, or the non-STPs. Trust me, this is where things get Lita, you're fine. Can get more involved.
Okay.
For those who bind, we pass along information on good binders, bad binders, who to buy through, who not to buy through, that sort of thing.
Do you do you do you find that do you find that you share um, a lot of information about, let's say, or the process of like how to get through certain things like name changes and stuff? Do you think that stuff shared pretty openly?
Yeah, because we come across other people from like our states at times, so it's easier if we can get out word of mouth out those of who to go through, who not to go through, that sort of thing.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of places where you only get one or two surgeons who will do certain surgeries. But then here's the thing: you also have to be able to know who has better care in mind for you, who treats their patients better. And hold on. Ooh,
I don't know what's happening.
I've got a 6-year-old and he is supposed to be going to bed. He's an hour late.
Oh goodness. Well, um, if you needed to mute to do that or drop down, you're more than welcome to come back.
Oh, I thought I was muted.
Oh
You,
no.
you were you were muted.
Oh. Oh. Well, not right this minute muted. What just?
Yeah, I was also muted because it turns out I also have a lovely spouse person.
Um, Lovely spouse. People are lovely. I love your lovely spouse, and I haven't. When did I miss her? To be coming out here soon. But back on the topic of the good side of gender affirmation, is there something that you and this if this question isn't something you feel comfortable answering, I totally get that based on like gender dysphoria stuff. Is there anything in particular you can think of that prior to transitioning was something you could not possibly enjoy and now do? I'm sure there's a lot of those things, but something like that you may have experienced both pre and after and well during transition. Lita,
Um,
I was gonna say,
yeah,
you want to go first?
you got me deep in thought here. I'm trying, uh, yes, but I can't think of it right now.
Okay.
Because, well, no, I know there are things, but like, yeah, circle back to me on that.
Okay. What about you, Robin?
Look, I don't want to get your live band, okay?
Okay, I'm not talking about that. Okay, but that is well, let's see. Um, there is some definite positives from what Robin has told me about the effects of hormone therapy and transitioning when it comes to enjoying oneself in an adult way. There we go. Like having multiple. That is a good
Well,
sign of gender affirming care. You have to be honest. Multiple is a good thing.
well, I don't drink, so I don't know anything about drinking more than one drink.
That's definitely not what I meant, Lita. So I don't know. Is the word orgasm banned on TikTok? Maybe it is.
I guess we'll find out.
Yes. Having that is intimate enjoyment. There you go, Karen. That's a great way to put it. He's all welcome. Intimate enjoyment is something that is gender affirming hormone therapy has made better for Robin. I know we've talked about it. So that does fit the bill of what I was talking about.
I have not experienced that.
Oh man. I hope you can. Hey Gwen, welcome to the Sass Show this
Hey,
evening.
how y'all doing?
Yes, I didn't even know about that until Gwen's here.
That was one of the things that Robin had mentioned that nobody told her about when
You,
she was talking about things that lack of
Yeah,
communication.
like not even the doctor was like, yeah, this could happen. Like I was like, what, a couple months in, and like one of my friends like, oh, did you get to that part yet? And I'm like, wait, we get to that part?
one thing that actually um, I kind of I picked up on almost immediately was a sense of like I didn't have like this brain fog. I mean, it's not as much. Like I felt like I could pull certain information from my brain that I wasn't able to before hormones. Like memory recall, word recall, being able to articulate much better than when I was like it was just testosterone. I still struggle with like my emotions, but as far as like I don't want to say I'm more intelligent, I'm just able to recall things a lot quicker.
Interesting. So I did not know that. What about the rest of you guys? Have you experienced something along those lines? Oh, first time I'm hearing that.
No,
Okay.
I also have ADHD, ADD. So there's that.
No, same here. I have ADHD too, and my memory improved. Able to walk myself through like what needs to be done if I've written it down or something. I don't know. It just something I've picked up on.
I will say this: get a bunch of us trans masks into a room, and we are like teenage boys.
Well, that seems pretty fair. I know. I mean, my understanding is one of the things that I've learned to accept or realize. I don't know how to put it. Is that with hormone therapy, transgender people are, you know, at certain stages experiencing another puberty, and so I can see why that would be true.
We talk about how big our bean is or has gotten.
I mean, that's fair. It's
We
perfectly
will,
fair.
if a trans guy and another trans guy get together, it tends to go to smexy quinky time.
That's honestly not that different from what happens when you get a bunch of trans women together either. Honestly, just the other flip side.
I can only relate it to maybe a high school football locker room.
Oh yeah, no, definitely it can go in that direction. And then there's the endless flirting with each other. With an age-appropriate group, we have been known to flirt with each other, and it gets funny.
I mean, I'm sure there's a part of that that is hormone therapy, and the other part is likely confidence because the good side of gender affirmation is when you are feeling like you are in fact now yourself, you would in have an additional like more confidence to be who you are, which leads to things like flirting and being more open to those types of communications. That makes sense to me.
Yeah,
I,
I do flirt more. Actually, all I do is flirt now.
I kid you not. If you were to come to a
Yeah,
friend
in the
of mine
before time.
live on here tonight, they're usually on about late night. You will see nothing but a bunch of flirting and just either all around goofiness.
Well, I
And it's
think
like,
that's
okay, Horny break.
No, I've had to like cognitively like tone down my aggressive flirting because I run a group now and don't want to like, you know, get into weird
No.
ethical territory with it. But man, I love flirting.
Yeah, I don't know that I know how to tone down. I don't actually know that I know how to flirt, so it's fine.
I became
Sass,
I became
this
more
group.
asexual
Nope.
after hormones.
Oh, interesting.
We don't
I
tone
mean,
down the flirting in this group. And it's great.
That's awesome. See, I'm with Press Fairy. What is flirting? Gwen, that's an interesting perspective. I'm here. I haven't heard before is that you became
They're
more asexual.
14, I believe.
Flirt. Hmm?
No, it doesn't say. Flirting.
Uh, uh,
Expecting them to be underage.
no. Press Fairy is a friend of mine. That's like a
Yeah.
she's
All right.
joking. You're good.
So flirting is I'm a thirsty lesbian, and the world is going to know about it.
Well,
That's flirting.
so oh, Ellie says that she's too shy. She sucks at flirting. Gwen, I do want to know any additional ways since you have just come to the Sass Show. We have been talking about being, the good side of gender affirming care. What are some things that you would say were positives for you at becoming transgender or coming out as transgender and transitioning?
was that directed at me? I apologize.
Yes.
That's
No, you're okay. It was directed at you. Yep. Whenever you're ready.
No, I guess the positive is I'm not masking anymore, and maybe that's where some of the energy, or maybe that's I feel like I do have a bit more energy, and the but as far as like brain function and things like that, maybe that's where that comes in, where I'm not having to like hide that anymore. At least the people in my own we'll just say network or space, they know that I'm going through this. I don't have to hide it from them, and so I can be, like you said, more confident, more my true self, that sort of thing. It takes a lot of work to do this too. It's a lot of work, and I think finally coming to terms with it and everything is it does give me some fulfillment at the same time.
Which is definitely a positive, right? Is that fulfillment? And we were talking a little bit earlier about how it reduces depression in transgender youth between the ages of, it was 14 to 20. That it affects, it's 60% less likely to have a major depression, and 73% less likely to have self-harm or unaliving thoughts. And so that's a huge part of it, is for just mental health reasons alone. Transgender care and gender affirming care actually does a great deal of help for that.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in and out of psychotherapy a good bit of my life, and you know early on, I didn't bring this up. I didn't know what to call it. I didn't know how to describe it. These feelings, I didn't know if they were common, if they were foreign, what the deal was. And I don't think I've said it before. Thanks to the advent of the internet, I think y'all were talking about, like, the neat thing about TikTok is you can get transgender individuals from all over the country together in one room such as this, and we can talk about our struggles and our accomplishments and things. But yeah, as far as the positives go, I'm out. I'm not having to hide it anymore. And you know, I just, it's like a new chapter of my life, and it's,
Which
I guess,
always,
uh, here it is, you have some of those regrets and you come out sooner
yeah.
and things like
We were,
that.
and we were talking about that earlier, actually, a little bit about Robin was sharing that she had some concerns with, not concerns, but some thoughts of like how puberty blockers would have been a great help, would have made transitioning a
Yeah.
lot easier. So that education and access is so important. Um, Eddie, I don't know, Eddie, what you mean by what struggles? Like, are
Well,
you legitimately asking that question, or are you trolling?
the last couple years have been kind of tough because of, I've been trying to navigate work along with, you know, having a surgery and other things, and then recovery time and how to take time off, and that has not been easy at all. And last year, like September through October, I went through an ordeal where I just went through outpatient, um, a mental health outpatient clinic, and so basically I went home at night was the deal. I didn't stay there.
Mm-hmm.
For Because tomorrow would have been my 1 year anniversary to my surgery, but I had it out with the surgeon ahead of time, so it is what it is. But
Oh,
yeah, so it would have been a 1 year last. Yeah, if I would have gone through, yeah, July 27th was supposed to be my surgery, but yeah, so I don't know. I guess my thing with it is now I can be who I know I am, and
mm-hmm.
I'm able to focus on that instead of trying to mask my, in my spaces as masculine figure.
Well, I would think, I mean, I think that it should be somewhat, maybe not completely, but somewhat obvious that there are going to be benefits to being able to be who you are, right? Like the obvious benefits of being able to express yourself as who you are, not having to mask, being able to just live your life and exist the way you are on the inside, reflected on the outside. I think that that's pretty. I would think that that would be pretty obvious for people, and it's important to say it, of course, because even those things we think should be obvious usually aren't for people.
Oh yeah. But yeah.
I know that I don't know how much you want to talk about it. I know that you're having a rough day today. I just want to say I am so sorry. I know how hard it is to lose a pet. So please tell me to shut up if you don't want me to talk about it.
No, no,
And
you can talk about it. It's fine.
I just want to
It's
offer,
still,
my
yeah,
condolences.
it still hasn't really hit. I mean, I'll be honest, and you know, not even pun intended, he was my ride or die. I mean,
Yeah.
we were inseparable, for the most part. He would go pretty much everywhere with me, and I would actually pick places to go out if we went to a restaurant or something where he could sit with me. When he was younger. As he got older, it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't as easy to do that stuff.
No.
But yeah, but yeah, he was it was he was my dog. I've had family dogs, and family, other family members, but he was my dog, my little kid.
Hmm. Well, and Robin can tell you, I had a dog. I had a beagle. Name was Dexter, and he was like, he went everywhere with me. And so losing him was really difficult. So I completely understand how hard that is, and I'm very sorry for your loss.
No, thank you for asking.
Yeah, no problem. I just, I don't want to
And
leave it unsaid.
No, he did pass away at home. It was just random. I mean, I can't say it was random. Um, there were some things he wasn't. It's So he had that major operation on last Tuesday. He came home on Friday, and he was doing well, even doing well through Sunday. But he was on so many meds, and then yesterday he didn't want to eat, in the morning, wouldn't eat any food, and then he had this. I'm just gonna say it out loud. He had this major. He just threw up like the day before, like everything he ate the day before. It's like it wouldn't even digest.
Mm.
And then I called the vet and let her know about it. And, she just said, well, just wait till give him his meds in the evening. And, I talked with her like at 3 o'clock and he passed away at 5:30 yesterday. And I was in the other room. I was working on something in my shop, and he, yeah, it was like an hour that I was away from him. Sometime in that hour, he passed away. I'm gonna towards the 5:30. But yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming and talking about, this topic with us tonight, with all that going on. And so I know it's a tough time when you lose a pet. So I just
Yeah.
offer you all of the condolences, and I'm so sorry.
No, yeah, he would have been 12 in 2 weeks. So he was a great dog. He was very obedient, and he, with me being his owner, he probably had, I probably overworked him. So, but no,
You
he
probably
was.
gave him the best life.
Oh, I did. He had the best life. He really did.
And yeah, so once again, thanks and offer my condolences. I'd asked the question earlier of everyone that was here, and I'm wondering if you have a take on it. Is like something that you may have, if you're comfortable answering this, that may have done, or some activity or anything that you did pre-transition that you post-transition or during transition, as it were, is just a much better experience for you. I think Robin said it was sex. Just saying.
um, I was hoping like my inner interior designer was gonna come out so I could finally learn how to like tie a room together, but that didn't happen. Um, I guess if I really haven't like changed different hobbies, but I have gotten better with makeup. Is about all that. I can't say I'm a makeup artist, but I've gotten much better with it as I've transitioned and things like that. But yeah, I was hoping maybe I'd get a little more creative. To have to be a little more creative, but we're still working on that. I'm trying to get past some hurdles here, and hopefully some of that'll come.
I can say that I never I don't know how to tie a room together to save my life. I was assigned female at birth, so I mean I am non-binary, but even so, never once knew how to. I just do a lot of
Well,
No,
random
guess
stuff.
what, y'all?
Do you know how to tie a room together? Yeah, probably.
You've been to my house.
Listen, I'm
Have you
not.
not seen my
I'm.
tied together rooms?
I
Is
hate
that
those. I hate those people.
right?
What is
I
a
mean,
tied together room?
I can tie
Tip-
certain things together, just not necessarily a
Mm,
room.
yeah, I was about to say, is it the room that's tied together, Robin? Are you sure about that?
Look, it's
Wait
the
a minute,
rug
wait a
that
minute. When
really
you say
does it.
tied together, are we talking about coinky time or what?
I mean,
We're just
so
talking about tying a
when,
room, tying stuff
We're not.
together. Like, what
Yeah,
are you talking about?
we're not talking
listen,
about
Gideon,
tying anybody down in a room. We're talking
I
about.
know, I know we don't know each other that well yet, Gideon, but you can probably guarantee that it's a double entendre with me.
Oh yeah, always.
Robin will tell you.
Right, Lita?
Lita knows. Well, and I think that you know, I think that Robin's in your boat, Lita, most of the time.
I mean, so I'm in a group on Facebook called Transgender Ship Hosting, and this is correct.
Oh, you
We joke
too.
that, yeah, pretty much we're all in agreement that like one of the running jokes I've seen is like, "Oh, you're a trans woman bottom? Oh, what a big surprise!"
Oh no, is that a stereotype? I didn't know.
Yes, it is absolutely a stereotype. Okay, Morgan, I just want you to think about me and everything you know about me, and then consider that I'm basically a massive walking trans femme stereotype in like every
I
possible way.
I
Like,
I need you to know. I need you to know that I was definitely being facetious just then.
okay, great. Well, now everybody knows anyway.
Okay, so here's
And if
the
they
funny.
don't,
Sorry.
They don't now. They do.
I mean, I can always like fill a thigh-high sock full of pickles and like come after them till they get the point.
That
I
is
don't know that.
definitely a stereotype.
I was gonna say I don't know that
That's a
everybody
lot of
knows
a lot
that
of
is a
pickles.
stereotype, Robin. I think you should explain that stereotype real quick, just in case anyone here doesn't know about it.
The thigh-high sock or the pickles?
The pickles.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
so
I know all about
trans
that.
women need salt, yo. Our T blockers take out our salt, and pickles are salty.
You're weird.
Is that what it
Yeah.
is? You know, I have increased my salt. I used to not eat a lot of salt, but I started increasing it here lately, and I'm not nearly as tired.
I can literally eat like the ramen noodle packets.
Really? Oh my gosh, that's a lot of sodium.
So I think we just experienced one of those things for Glenn that Robin was talking about earlier, the lack of information sharing that can't happen because it sounds like Glenn didn't realize.
No, I heard it would whack out the salt. I guess maybe I did. Maybe I just
But
misunderstood when they called
it's
it
the it's the Spiro.
spirulactone. Yeah, so it's a potassium-sparing diuretic, which must mean that you're peeing out a lot of salt.
Yep.
And I wish they would have said that. It now makes sense, and I'm 1 week away from not having to worry about that anymore.
Getting the
Great. Glad we could get that to you in a timely fashion, Glenn.
Oh my gosh, it's hysterical. Yeah,
Are you
that is my luck though.
I'm gonna like I'm not planning to get the full SRS, but at some point I'm gonna get an Orky, and I'm just like it's gonna be weird not craving pickles.
I'm
Do you-
actually I'm actually going. Yes, it'll be the full thing, but I'm doing I'm doing something a little different because I didn't want to go through the whole laser hair removal thing, and I'm like again kind of going with the whole uh, being like asexual and whatnot here. I'm going with what they call kind of a zero depth
Okay.
because I didn't want to go through the electrolysis. And the other thing is I hate to say that I'm like rushing this, but this whole thing with this surgery and everything has caused me so much agony since I learned that it was a thing. And we're talking like 25 years. And part of my like career, so to speak, and being in and out of work and everything, has money for the surgery. And it's just not happening. I would get so stressed out. I have kind of an emotional I have emotional dysregulation kind of illness, and I could kind of, and I'm just going to say it, I could just kind of go off at work or wherever if I get super stressed out. And a lot of it had to do with not making enough money in order to go through with the surgery. and
That's
the anxiety associated with it.
a lot of my roadblocks to certain certain care that I've wanted for a long time has been the lack of funds.
Yep.
So I recently got a promotion at work. I'm not a millionaire, but no, I'm fine. Like with the combination of insurance and like a bigger paycheck, I'll actually finally be able to save up for like the procedures I want to get.
Um, Lita, do you live where they have like a college for or medicine and whatnot for surgery for medicine and whatnot?
Sorry, what?
Well, some states have colleges that they will offer to do certain types of surgeries uh, for a lot lower price if you go through the medical colleges.
Oh, so I mean, I live in Massachusetts, so pretty much everywhere around here is one of those.
See,
Okay,
here's
find one
the
that
okay.
has a trans care office or gender affirming care office.
We have a lot of those.
They should be able to help you out, and it should be a lot cheaper.
Um, one of the procedures I want to get is the hair, but Boston has it's called Fenway Health. It's kind of uh, the the premier gender and sexuality clinic in the country.
Because
Huh.
that's what I did when I went to Chicago. And that took me I was 2 years on the list, too.
I'm actually going through Obamacare. It was more
Oh,
feasible. Yeah, it was more. I hate to say this, but I just decided I got fired from my last job. I'm just gonna say it. I was told that I did not give hassle-free customer service. It was a work from home job. I'll be honest, I hated it. It was way below. I was got it on the bottom floor of this company, hoping I can work my way up to a position that I was licensed for. And I don't know. I'm not going to get into this particular customer that called in. He wasn't even a customer. He was somebody else. And I denied him certain things. And the company I was working for told me that because of how I reacted to him, that they decided to let me go. Well, it was at that point that I was like, I didn't have a surgery date, but there was one in the making, and I was going to put it off till like the end of December if I would have still been with that company. And I just said, screw it. I said, give me the earliest time slot you have. And so I've kind of been working a little here and a little there, not enough at the mercy of some others at this particular point. But I'm just going to get through it because I think it's one thing that has hindered me when it comes to my career.
yeah, yeah. Get your surgery and then do what you do. Like I'm very much in the boat. Like until I can get surgeries, I'm kind of stuck where I am in terms of like work. So
And that's the thing, navigating this. And last year would have made more sense, but I didn't have that talk with certain people because I was going to need some help with maybe after surgery and care, and it took almost a full year for those people to come on board.
yeah, it's a complicated thing. Like the everything about the surgery process. Like you know, figuring out care afterwards. Like figuring out insurance. Definitely.
Yeah, but and I have no idea if it's my age or what, but my Affordable Care Act monthly premium is really nothing at the end of the day. And
I mean, that's fantastic that you are able to use that, that the insurance is covering it at this time. I mean,
I
I'm
was
glad that
paying
that's available.
when I was working for that other company. Um, they were taking 3 times the amount out monthly for health insurance. The only difference that I could tell was my out of pocket deductible was higher with the company, and um, I had out of network coverage. Those are the only two differences. I have to have in network coverage here with the Affordable Care Act, which means that the provider has to be in South Carolina.
Okay.
And South Carolina just got a surgeon who can perform these surgeries here in last year. There is there's another creator that isn't very well liked on this site that I found out about that through, and we talked once only to get that name. We have not talked since, and it was about a year ago I got that name from her.
Hmm.
Um, but other than that, the only thing that they won't do is like I can't do like facial feminization or um, like any other stuff like chest or anything. But I'm really
Okay.
fine with my chest. It's only the face stuff that
Okay.
I wouldn't mind.
Yeah, I'm also not insured through my employer, which has been like a tremendous relief in terms of like not having to worry about keeping my job in order to like keep going with my transition.
Right.
Hmm.
No, I have the VA to fall back on, but uh,
I've heard that's
like
tough though, Lita. Is it difficult to
for like it sucks. It does.
the
And I'm glad I have the local clinic that I have. Um, and yeah, I am going to be reliant on my employer health care. Um, but at the same time, it's things are newly changed in the company. Hopefully, they're long-term changes. So, um, I mean, ideally, things can only get better. We'll see, I guess. Um,
Hopefully, for sure.
yeah, I'm not.
yeah.
So, yeah, I am treading carefully on that, and that's like my recent experience with all that has sort of had me realizing like I gotta really take slow steps with all this. But um, no, worst case scenario, I can still get my HRT through the VA. But the while I have employment and insurance, I have to lose weight because you know how surgeons get with like
Yep.
Yeah.
Mine
It's
um,
a,
didn't require me to lose weight, but when
they
What
don't.
what what's
had,
oh,
he
go
was
ahead.
actually impressed.
Yeah,
So we have.
I did have a surgeon that told me I needed to be within like the male, I think it was the female range for the body mass index, and I told them they were full of crap because that would be impossible for me.
yeah.
So we have some people. Gideon said that weight loss was not, and then Lita, Robin, and then Gwen. You said that you guys all needed weight loss, right? It's interesting that the difference.
One, there's one surgeon who is former military in Pennsylvania that I talked to, and she she transitioned herself late '90s, I think, early 2000s, and she's the one that told me, well, her assistant or somebody like that said that I was going to need to lose weight, and I was like, there's
Okay.
no way I can lose weight. It's This is
Dr. McGinn?
that. Yeah. Yep. And I went, and so I've been to two other surgeons. The second one, they said it didn't matter, and then this one here doesn't mind either. And I'm not really overweight. I fluctuate from like 200 to 220.
Lucky.
Well, um, it's a lot of it's like water weight, or I don't know what I am now, but I don't think I've gotten like my muscles haven't like I would just say atrophied to become more feminized. I think my legs have. My arms still seem very bulky to me, more masculine like,
Yeah, mine too.
which is a bit dysphoric.
Yeah, you
But
tend to lose quite a bit of muscle mass when you start on HRT, and then it becomes much more obnoxious to build it back.
I have noticed cellulite on my legs, so I'm like, I know this is gonna sound really crazy, but I'm kind of happy about that. But anyway, it's a sense of euphoria in a sense. But anyway,
That's delightful.
But yeah, I'm
Well,
hoping in the next year I can lose weight that I need to lose and start getting procedures that I want to get done.
one thing that helped me was the intermittent fasting, where I would only eat for in like an 8 hour period during the day. Um, that did help me. And then when I got that job that I was just recently fired from, and they screwed me for it, and I actually gained weight because of that.
Yeah, I was told I would lose weight in some areas and gain it in other. It's like, yeah, let me know when the whole gaining thing actually starts.
hi, Tanis.
It I haven't gained. It just went into other areas. And let me know when the I'm always hungry thing's supposed to happen, because I was doing the starving 24/7 thing before I
Right.
gained.
Okay. Yeah, I'm back down to 200 now, which is like my safe zone. Um, that's like where everything. That's where all my clothes fit is like at 200.
I'm excited that Tanis just stopped by. Robin.
Yes, I saw.
Earlier, I saw Big Sexy come through.
Oh, I was just very excited. Well, so far, I think I'm going to start wrapping it up. We've been talking about the good side to gender affirming care. So, I'm going to start with Lita. Just what do you think is your favorite thing or the best thing about having being transgender or transitioning? What do you think is the best thing for you?
Well, I wake up every morning and I have boobs. What the?
Okay.
Well, no, I
I
said
mean,
that
fair.
before for the.
You did.
No,
You did.
yeah, but no, just getting up and like facing the world as who I really am. Like that's it's a sense of like living life with a sense of intellectual honesty.
I always like to joke. In school, I was always shooting for A's and B's, and now that I've transitioned, I really am just happy with 2 C's and a whole bunch of F's.
Tana said what makes him happy is seeing his friends getting to live their life as their authentic self, and I agree with that. Um, I am going to jump down to Gideon. Gideon, what is one thing you would say is like the best about gender affirmation
Um,
for you?
I'm completely opposite of Lita. I'm happy not seeing the boobs and whatnot. I'm
Makes
actually happy
sense.
to have F's now, so highly
Yep.
on you, troublemaking.
Um, I'm gonna make Foxy go. I'm gonna make Robin go last just to torment her. Gwen, what about you? What's your top thing
You
about
know, all my life, I struggled a little bit academically, and I brought this. What made me come up with to share the fact that I feel like I'm able to recall things. a lot easier, except when I'm put on the spot. Uh, but, like certain parts of my brain that I felt like were being ignored feel more vibrant and alert and full of energy. And it's like I have a new
Oh no.
brain to kind of explore and to get used to. And that to me has been amazing. And it's helped a lot with my confidence, especially being somebody who struggled as a student
Awesome. I love
most of my
that.
life.
I love that. Foxy, Robin, sorry, it's Tanis's fault. I'm so sorry. Robin, what would be your what do you think your the best thing is for you?
All right, we're gonna wrap this up by making it all about me, just like
Uh, no, you're wrong because I get to go last, but good try.
well, well,
Just in case
you that.
anyone need I just in case anyone needed to know, Robin and I have a thing that we do where I tell everyone I'm better than her, and she actually loves that. It is a consensual joke, by the way, just in case someone decides to think that that's like real. Um, I often tease her about it because she loves to be extra. So, all right, what's the best thing?
I do love to be extra, which is a great segue into what I'm going to talk about because 2 days ago was my birthday,
And happy
and we went
birthday.
out to a really nice place to eat. So I was all dressed up, and we took a picture, and I just had so much joy looking at the picture that we had taken because I remember a lot of times seeing, going out to like any sort of a fancy event, and let's be honest, I think that when you get to the fancier events, women's clothing just looks so much better than men's clothing. I'm biased,
Mhm.
obviously, and I used to always feel on the outside looking in at any kind of a setting like that. And so seeing myself just dressed up, looking nice, really felt like something that was unattainable maybe 5 years ago, and like realizing that, hey, look, I'm there now. And you can see that. You can see, like, in the picture how happy I look. And I was having like an entire moment over this picture. And this picture is blurry as heck, by the way. And still, like, all of that comes through. And I've seen that a lot too, where like when I'm having a good day, like I just look so happy, and like when I'm on like a webcam and I can actually visibly see my facial expressions, that's just something that I don't know. I really love that for me.
I think
Nice.
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Also, Gwen, I appreciate you. I don't know if you saw that, Robin, but Gwen agrees. I am better than Robin, so we can just carry on this great tradition that we have together.
I, I
You
was
are the
gonna do
best.
one little plug
Thank
and
you.
piggyback Robin's statement there, and just say that yes, it's been really neat to finally look in the mirror and see what I'm supposed to be looking back at, because for years it didn't make sense to me. It looks like a foreign object.
I love that too. I was only teasing Robin. Okay, Tanis. Listen, we have a lot of dice rolls to get through together. I'm a little nervous about seeing them all add up at one time. Okay. Um, anyway, I was only really joking. In regards to like, I just wanted to tease Robin about ending it on me. I
Uh-huh,
want
sure, sure. We believe that. Uh-huh.
for me, it's really just again, for me, it's just acceptance of myself. That's the best. I don't have to pretend to be something I'm not by just, accepting the idea that I am non-binary. I don't have to have a gender. I don't have to pretend to be whatever it is that society thinks I should be. I can be genderless if I so choose, and it's a great relief overall for me. So I think that's the good side of gender affirmation. And so I want to thank everyone who came today. Thank you guys for participating and sharing the positives in your stories. I really appreciate it.
Well, it's always a pleasure to come up here.
Yeah.
Yup.
And thanks to my mods, as per usual, and everyone helps put together. This was kind of like a chill Sass show. I put off topic this week about how women contribute to the patriarchy, and obviously it's not good. We people who were assigned female at birth and all women often contribute to the patriarchy in ways that can be a struggle. Christina said, "I'm lucky to be gender fluid." I would classify myself not as gender fluid. I did at one time, but I don't really express myself. I don't really ever feel masculine any more than I ever really feel very feminine. So it's just like agender is the term that I would use for myself.
It's an adorable gender void.
But yeah, a gender void. But I understand, Christina. I often say I have certain privileges. Like I'm often assumed. I'm very femme presenting, whether I try to be or not. And so my gender is often assumed, and so there are privileges to that because I don't have the same fears and worries that other people might have. And so I
Yeah,
do think I'm lucky.
I tend to make people question at times because I do a lot of masculine things, but then I turn around and do very feminine things, and I
Gotcha.
find it kind of funny. It's like, yeah, you can keep questioning, but I'm definitely a guy.
Yeah, for sure. I also love to say gender in this economy because I'm cheesy like that. So
Yeah, I still hate the fact that I'm still expected to do a lot of masculine things, so to speak.
yeah. Oh,
But
My
I don't
it's
mom,
even know. I don't even know anymore what is and isn't. I'm just happy to be a gender void, as Robin said. But thank you for coming. You know, my moderators who, as always, keep this live a very safe place, and everyone who helped. We'll be talking about women in the patriarchy next week. I'm going to continue to do it at 8 p.m. Eastern time because it's just a little bit better of a time for people to come around. And
And I
Christina.
also want to point out really quick that, prior to this, when you were trying to figure out how to title it, I had decided to ask the other trans women what to call it, and apparently the answer came back as just skirt go spinny. So
I don't think that would have translated either.
no,
I
but
think
I'm not
the good
surprised.
side. I think the good side was a good name. We worked. Lita helped, and we worked together to come up with this title today because I wasn't quite sure how to title it together.
All of my sides are my good sides.
Okay, and yet I am still better.
but does that depend on what side you're on?
No,
No.
I'm the best. You can ask Robin; she'll tell you I'm the best, right, Robin?
You are the best.
And you're a good girl. All right, everyone, have a great night.
You too. Thank you.